Welcome. Fade to Black breaking news for this Friday, February 3rd, 2023. All of the news that you need. I'm Jimmy Church. Let's get started on this day in history. 1959. Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper die in a plane crash when their chartered Beechcraft Bonanza plane crashes in Iowa a few minutes after takeoff from Mason City on a flight headed for Moorhead, Minnesota, the day the music died. On this day in 1959, here's your Fader fact, totally vetted. Upon his death in 2016, the German government issued a statement thanking David Bowie and his song Heroes for helping bring down the Berlin Wall. And that is your Fader fact. Let's get to the breaking news. What is going on in the skies over the United States? President Joe Biden was first briefed Tuesday of this week on the suspected Chinese surveillance balloon that is hovering right now over the United States as it moved eastward. Staff members for the top Republican and Democratic members of the House and Senate Intelligence Committee were briefed yesterday, and the Department of Defense and State Department officials briefed leadership staff and national security staff earlier today. The White House has decided to postpone Secretary of State Tony Blinken's visit to China after high-level conversations between Blinken, President Joe Biden, and other top national security officials. Pentagon Press Secretary Brigadier General Patrick Ryder said today that the United States Defense Department knows the suspected surveillance balloon floating over the northern United States has the ability to maneuver. All of that without disclosing any details on how it can be controlled. That is interesting. Chinese officials then said today that the balloon, it's all just a misunderstanding. The balloon is a civilian airship, and it's used for research. That's it. There's nothing to see here. It just deviated far from its planned course. Yeah, of course, that is their response. And then the Pentagon returned with, they are flatly denying the Chinese government's claim that the balloon traveling over the continental United States serves a civilian research purpose. This has turned into a diplomatic nightmare. But it's not a UAP. Italian anti-mafia police have arrested another mobster on the run just weeks after the sensational arrest on January 16th of Sicilian Cosa Nostra superboss Matteo Messina Denaro at a health clinic in Palermo, Sicily. I reported that when it happened. This time, it is Edgardo Greco, 63 years old, who was apprehended in Saint-Étienne, France, where he was working under the alias Paolo Demetrio, if that doesn't sound made up. And he was working as a pizza chef at the Cafe Rossini Italian restaurant right there in Saint-Étienne. Greco was convicted in absentia in 1991 for the double homicide of brothers Stefano and Giuseppe Bartolomeo, who he killed with iron bars before dissolving their body in acid. He had evaded Italian law enforcement officials since his conviction. An Iowa Alzheimer's care facility is facing a $10,000 fine after pronouncing a woman dead who was later found alive when a funeral director unzipped her body bag. All of this according to documents from the Iowa Department of Inspections and Appeals. The 66-year-old woman, who has not been identified, was admitted to the Glen Oaks Alzheimer's Special Care Center facility in Urbandale, Iowa, on December 20th. Then on January 3rd, according to a report, at 6 a.m., she's been called resident number one. Resident number one's mouth was open, her eyes were fixed, and there was no breath sounds. The nurse was unable to locate a pulse. Then reported no signs of life at around 7:38 a.m., and then she was picked up by the Ankley Funeral Home. At approximately 8:26 a.m., funeral home staff unzipped the bag and observed resident number one's chest moving, and she gasped for air. The funeral home then called 911. Unfortunately, resident number one died the next day on January 4th. All right, check this out. A large, curvaceous, reflective sculpture by Anish Kapoor that was commissioned for a prominent street corner in Lower Manhattan back in 2008 has finally been completed and delivered. The yet-to-be-titled work doesn't have a name yet, which shares many features with the British artist's iconic Cloudgate sculpture in Chicago, is now shining at the corner of, check this, Church and Leonard Streets in Tribeca, New York City. It is 19 feet tall. It's a bean. It's a chrome bean. And it is estimated to have cost about $10 million to create. And right now, residents are calling it the bean. The new Tribeca bean is wedged beneath the canopy of 56 Leonard, a luxury condominium building better known as the Jenga Tower. In 2016, Kapoor bought a condo in the building for $13.5 million. It pays to be a chrome artist. Tonight on Fade to Black, a very special show because tonight Serena DC joins us right here live from the bunker. That's right, a Friday night live Fade to Black. And tonight we're going to be discussing the CE5 experience. Live right here, very special Friday night show. So I'll see everybody a little bit later this evening. Fade to Black breaking news. All the news that you need for this Friday, February 3rd, 2023. Fade to Black breaking news is produced by Renee Newman. I'm Jimmy Church. Go Backley Tappy.